Welcome to AI in Action, Exploring Tomorrow's Tech Today, the podcast where we delve into the groundbreaking world of artificial intelligence. I'm Maurie, and with me is my husband, Jim. With our combined expertise in technology and education, we're here to guide you through the AI revolution. Whether it's the latest news headlines or transformative AI applications in classrooms, healthcare, and beyond, we're here to make sense of it all. Together, let's uncover how AI is reshaping our world from everyday encounters to the future of work. So let's dive in and explore tomorrow's tech today. Hello, and welcome to AI in Action, Exploring Tomorrow's Tech Today. My name is Maurie, and I'm here with my husband, Jim. Today, we are going to discuss news, but we're also going to discuss or take a closer look at one particular news story. Now, the reason that we are going to do that is because this news story kind of caught Jim's attention, and he actually ended up coming into the kitchen area and started kind of, ranting's a little strong, but ranting is pretty accurate. So it's about a research study that just came out concerning ChatGPT, or just artificial intelligence in general, and the usage of it.
Yeah, I see this more and more nowadays where, we talked about it in our last podcast, I think, where people, you have the people that quote, they if you can't get people to click on your stuff by being for something, you have to be against it.
Yes.
This type of research tends to be used a lot by the against it people, by the people that say, it's going to be, the whole thing is a fad, it's a bubble, it's going to pop, that whole thing. You see it over and over and over. And in this particular one, they were saying about 18% of the adults, this is from Pew Research, about 18% of the adults have used ChatGPT. They don't think it's a big thing. I'd like to take maybe a different perspective on that. We talked again in our last podcast about the different industries that make up most of the United States' employment, gross domestic product, GDP. I have a hard time with that one. And I found that through all the different things that I've looked at, they're saying AI has made significant inroads into healthcare, technology, finance, education, and shipping. Now, those are fairly big industries, right? I mean, education is for us, right? They're a major employer, if nothing else. I'm not sure we ever have any money in education, but we're certainly a major employer. So one of the stats that I found was the Bureau of Labor Statistics said as of 2021, those industries make up about a little over a third of the total dollars and hiring, employment and dollars, roughly the same, about 30% of the number of people employed and 30% of the U.S. GDP.
And those industries are using artificial intelligence.
They are. Well, every other study I've seen says that's what the contradiction is. All these studies are saying AI is making significant inroads into these industries. And then we got this study that says people don't think it's that big of a deal.
It's a flash of the pan.
So if these industries make a third of our total employed people, and I think last I looked, there's like 150 million people in the United States that are employed. You're talking about the total of a third of those people, plus our GDP is $23 trillion. So you're talking about roughly maybe $7 trillion of that being impacted by AI. How can you say it's not going to have an impact, or we don't believe it's going to have an impact, when it's affecting a third of the total economy? The total economy, we're not talking about a little piece of it, we're talking about a third of it. That's a big number, I would think.
A very big number.
So maybe the perspective that should be taken, and again, maybe that's why we're in education, because we not only is it an industry we've been in for a long time, but we want to educate people about artificial intelligence.
Yes.
And maybe there needs to be more education going on about it. If people are denying that they think it's a hype bubble, and we are in a hype bubble. Everything starts out in a hype bubble. But maybe we're just at the early stages, because every industry starts out small. In the early days, people haven't heard of it, whether it's the World Wide Web. When I came
We were talking about that this morning. The very first time you showed me
Website.
Website.
I did. You want to tell them what happened so you can make fun of me? Because I know you want to.
No, that's okay. I won't make fun of you.
You're going to make fun of me.
No,
Anyway,
it's
what
okay.
happened was I found one of the first websites that I found, and this was when there was a handful of
Early
websites.
90s.
Probably what, 94, 93, maybe mid 90s. So somewhere in that time. When the web first started. I came home. I was very excited. The first web browser got released by a research facility. I think it might have been called Mosaic, that first web browser. I found the first site. I came home. I was going to show it to you. I was very excited. It was a satellite images, and I was showing you the satellite image of our house. And I was getting very frustrated
Very
because it
frustrated.
wasn't working.
Couldn't see it.
I couldn't see it. And what did you do?
I
It was a
expressed
visual.
to you that it was dark outside. Therefore,
And
why
it was
did
a
you think you
visual
could see it?
satellite. So as soon as you said that, and I felt like an idiot, I switched over to the
Say,
infrared
Jim,
version.
The lights aren't on.
I switched over to infrared, and it was cool again.
Yes,
I redeemed
yes.
myself, but it was kind of funny. But
Yeah.
that was the very early days of World Wide Web, not the internet.
But it wasn't going to go anywhere. It was a flash in the pan.
It was not going to let smartphones, same kind of
Nothing.
thing. I remember talking to a cell phone company that's doesn't really exist anymore that said the whole idea of a smartphone was silly because all people really cared about was making phone calls.
Hang on, didn't you just say they don't really exist anymore?
Not really.
Yeah.
It was anyway. So the next part of it is, again, we just talked about that. The domains, everything gets typically adopted by something first, some domain, some area that specifically adopts it because they have a specific use for it. In this case, we talked about healthcare, finance, education, logistics. We talk about those kind of things. Ironically, technology is not one of the big employers. They're a bigger part of the GDP, but they're not one of the bigger employers. But they're getting impacted
A lot.
very heavily. 92% of the programmers, I used it yesterday. 92% of programmers said they use it. I used it yesterday on a home project where I was I had to write a little bit of code, and it was easier to just have it write it for me than for me to sit down and write it myself, which I know sounds lazy, but.
Okay, so we were talking about the menu for the catering that we're doing for our future daughter-in-law's and our son's wedding in October. And the first thing she did was pull up ChatGPT to get ideas about the types of appetizers that go with her main course. I mean, come on.
If nobody knows about it and hardly any people are using it, then why
is it like second nature to her now?
Yes. So, and they did say in their study that younger people were adopting it faster than the older, but that's not unusual.
Isn't that younger people become the older people, and therefore the world continues?
I hope so. That's how it's supposed to work. And then,
it was a good rant. I truly enjoyed your rant about how you just didn't get it. You didn't get where they were getting the information from. Well, so let's think about that. How many people did they survey?
About 5,000.
5,000 people. What's the population of the world?
Well, the United States is about 300 million, I think.
So
supposedly that's a statistically, if it's randomized enough, it's a statistically large enough sample. I don't know that I agree with that, but I'm not a statistician. But I do think that there's a misconception that ChatGPT is AI.
No, it's true.
ChatGPT is a specific application of AI, and it's great. These people, they always ask the same thing. Do you know anything about AI? Do you use ChatGPT? If you say you don't use ChatGPT,
then you don't know anything.
Then you don't know anything about it. ChatGPT is only one. I use 5 different AIs, and that's just chatbots. That doesn't count the other areas that these large language models and AI are going to be adopted. So I think there's been a lot of invisible. We talk about that in our trainings. AI started a long time ago.
1950s.
And the first AI program was in the 1950s. We talk about this. And so it seems like that they're doing these studies specifically to make it negative, that they want to show you that AI is going to go away, or they want to get clicks.
That's the main
by saying AI is going to go away, by it's, people aren't that interested in it. They're only using it for entertainment. Well, first of all, entertainment's a big industry. So personally, I think a huge use of it's going to be the fact that these what are they, NFTs? Is that what they're called? The kids told us about that. The the players. Yeah. There's
sorry, we're not gamers.
But nonetheless, they're applying AI to them. So these characters,
like your second person player or your second.
Well, remember in the movie Jungle Book?
Yes,
not Jungle Book.
Yes. Oh my goodness, with The Rock.
The Rock, great movie. But they have that character that is an non-player character,
Yes.
NPC. I think that's the term.
NPC?
NPC.
Okay.
Anyway, these characters are using AI, so they become more like a real character.
Right.
Well, that's a big industry in
Huge
itself.
industry.
So
A lot more interaction with
again,
that.
can you call AI something that's a flash in the pan, or can you even imply it without putting all these other? Anyway, I'm done with my rant.
Well, let's talk about. I mean, you talk about the early stages of the long game. That's where we're at right now, and then AI is going to be into domain specific adoptions.
Yes,
Healthcare, shipping,
they're
logistics.
already adopting it now.
Games.
I didn't even put entertainment in there.
Entertainment is going to be huge. People spend more money on entertainment in the United States than probably food. And then, of course, your functionality and your public awareness and
getting people aware of where it's going. Think about last week's podcast. We talked about what are the top 4 employers, I think, out of the top 10 in the United States. What industry was that?
Medical.
Healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not even sure the statistics about the third are even accurate when you talk about just employment, because if the top 10 are the top 4 of the top 10 employers are in healthcare, and healthcare is an early adopter of it, again,
there's something I've been hearing a lot lately, and it was a quote, and I think that people need to take it to heart. And it was, AI is going to replace humans. AI is, everyone's is scared of it. AI is not going to replace humans. Humans who use AI are going to replace humans who don't.
That was a Harvard. I think it was from Harvard.
That's in the job market.
Yes.
Okay. If I go in and I go back to the podcast of the college student that was interviewed that refused to use it until she realized that she was not able to compete with her peers because her peers were using it.
Even if you're just using it to edit your papers.
If you're using it to edit your papers, help you with emails, translate emails into other languages,
faster, better quality.
Somewhere, faster, better quality, brainstorming, ideas of what to cover in a presentation. PowerPoint now has an AI to where you can, have your presentations done a lot faster. Mm-hmm. So it's those that are not going to embrace it, and they're going to sit there and they're going to say it's going away.
It's a bubble.
All of a sudden, are going to wake up, and they're not going to have a job.
I used to work with a guy who told me that color television was a fad.
Colored television?
Yeah. I think he was joking. He used to say that was back in the 90s, early 90s. He's like, I got a black and white. I didn't even know they still had those. He had one.
No. Well,
he liked his.
He was just drinking too much vodka.
I don't know what he was doing. Okay. So on to the news.
Let's go to the news. Now, we want to focus a little bit on just the educational news that's been coming out right now. Popular Science, which is a major magazine.
Been reading it for years.
They talk about how ChatGPT.
This I think is scary.
It's kind of scary.
That's what I think. They don't say that. I think that's scary.
So there is a school in a state.
In Iowa. It's in Iowa.
Was it in Iowa?
It was in Iowa.
That they decided that they were going to use ChatGPT, and they were going to give ChatGPT the list of books that were on the burn ban list. Might as well we burn them. They were on a ban list.
Yes.
That they were going to give them the list and give it to ChatGPT, and then ask ChatGPT if any of those books had like sexual content,
explicit or otherwise.
Yes. And that's how they decided. That's how they decided which ones they were going to remove from the library.
That's under the category of scary uses of AI. You can use AI to look at things and decide whether or not people should be able to read a book.
Right.
Based on what
the AI says. So they literally
says.
said, hey, does this book contain a description or a depiction of a sex act? That's the question they asked ChatGPT. It took the list of how many books they gave it, came back with 11 books that ChatGPT said, yes, it did. And those 11 books, without any review, they were removed from the library.
I wonder if this is going to hurt, that article is going to hurt ChatGPT. I mean, OpenAI is getting sued by authors because they claim they ingested books without permission. And if it can tell me whether or not that book contains something specific, doesn't that mean by definition it has the book ingested?
Yeah.
Kind of does.
Yeah, it does.
All right. So what's the next news story?
I'm sorry. I'm just having this. I like reading historical romances. One of the things that I do, like to,
yeah, but you're not a high school kid.
No, but
you read them in high school.
I like reading historical romances. And one of the things that is about, women having to, cover their ankles and wear the long skirts and have their hair a certain way. And I see that in my daughter's future.
Okay. Moving on, moving on, moving on.
All right. So, next thing is about a survey that was done basically saying that colleges are slow to adopt artificial intelligence.
Yeah, it's not a big
Colleges and
surprise.
universities, they're trying to get their ducks in a row, trying to figure out how they're going to handle it. I understand that, but students are not slow to adopt
Well,
artificial
the funny
intelligence.
thing is that we talk about it in our presentations. High school teachers, I mean, we're in K-12 education, so we're a little biased toward it, but high school teachers know their students.
Yes,
They know their names, they know their parents' names, they know something about their life. You go
they
to a
will
public,
they will recognize if little Johnny starts
yes,
using words that are way above
but you
his
go to a
vocabulary
university,
level.
they don't have. It's not just about whether or not the student can cheat with it. It's about the fact that who can. You got to wonder how fast AI can replace a college professor who has 1,000 kids in their class and doesn't know the kid anyway. If you don't even know who the kid, if you know nothing about them, I'm not. You start questioning the value add of some of the faculty, so they need to embrace it because I'm not sure that they're not going to be the ones that get replaced. I mean,
Well,
colleges make money; they're in a business to make money.
yeah, and my daughter, when she was at University of Texas, she would bring PowerPoint presentations where her professor had given her, "This is my presentation. This is the whole semester we're going to be going over." I look at that PowerPoint presentation now, and I would literally take it and we would go find a place and we would print out those PowerPoint presentations so that she could read over them and highlight them and make notes and summarize and get ready for her class.
Yeah,
I could take that and put it into ChatGPT now, have it do a complete summary of the whole year or the whole semester's worth of lessons,
do a
and
Q&A with it.
do
Have
a
it generate
question and answer
quizzes. You
with
can
it.
do.
And
Yeah.
there's no reason for the professor to be standing up there going over those
Because all
PowerPoints.
he's doing is reading them anyway. Because
All
that's what
he's
he
doing
did.
is
That's
reading
what
them.
she used to say. I
All he
know.
did was stand there and read
I
PowerPoints.
know. I agree.
Okay, on that note, let's talk about the next thing, which is Harvard. So Harvard has actually come out with
Guidelines.
guidelines. So the
Which
guidelines,
I think everybody's all the universities are trying to have some kind of guidance, and I think it's smart to have some guidance as to how do you use it in a classroom. What are your expectations? The most important thing is that they're addressing how to use it. They're
right.
not just sticking their head in the
They're not just
sand,
saying don't use it, don't use it, don't use it.
being
Any
slow
any kid who
adopters.
uses
Yeah.
it for anything is going to get a zero. And
Well, don't make it all about cheating. Make it
right,
about how do you use it as an educational tool. I haven't read all their guidance, but I got the feeling that's what they were doing was that they were teaching people how to do better with it.
and speaking of which, OpenAI, which is of
Yeah.
course ChatGPT, OpenAI is the big
Yeah,
guy.
they are the big one.
They have now come up with teaching with
How to use
ChatGPT.
teaching with AI is what they
Teaching
call
with
it,
AI.
but it's actually
It's a whole section, and it's going to be it's a guideline for how teachers can use it in their classroom, like prompts and how it works and what its limitations are, and bias and all sorts of things. OpenAI has come out with it. We have, in fact, adopted, is what we call it, a couple of classrooms.
we have. So about to move on to that because I really want you to talk about that because that was really good. That was cool stuff. OpenAI has a bunch of prompts and stuff. You can go look at it on their website. But we teach this same kind of thing except in a more personalized way. And you had some good stuff going on this week.
We go out to different schools and we do professional development. We do targeted PD, and
we still work for Llano
we
ISD.
still work for Llano ISD. That's our day jobs, and it's very, very fulfilling and rewarding to do so because one of the things that we are able to do is go out and adopt classrooms. So we have like one at the high school we're looking at. We have one at an elementary school that we're looking at, and I go over and I visit the elementary ones. To me, it's something that's not thought about. One of the presentations we did in Stephenville, a lady came up afterwards, and she was like, "No, I think it was Granger. Oh my goodness, I'm a kindergarten teacher. I didn't realize that I could use artificial intelligence in my kindergarten class because most people see it as a way to grade papers, a way to edit papers, a way to do outlines, a way to,
That was our Eureka
that was a Eureka
moment.
moment.
We have those in every one.
Every single time we do a presentation, we have at least 2 or 3 Eureka moments. This one kind of hit me because high school teachers
are the focus.
Are the focus.
They are.
Because kids are using it. Elementary kids aren't going to use AI.
Nobody's worried about it.
They're not
Maybe a fifth
worried.
grader will be
Well, a fifth grader who
an
has a
overachiever.
parent,
An
well, a fifth
overachiever.
grader who has a parent who knows AI might go, "Oh,
Mm.
what? You have a paper due tomorrow and you forgot to do it?" So, they're going to let the kid use
Yes,
AI.
possibly.
But elementary adopted a classroom, and specifically someone who uses technology but had not started using anything with artificial intelligence yet.
Because for the same reason everyone says, I've just been too busy
Just
to
been too
learn how
busy.
to do
And
it.
actually, our training for that campus was pushed off
It's
because
true.
they
We haven't
got
even
too
done
busy.
it yet for this
We
semester.
haven't done that training for that campus.
That's
We've
true.
done the other
That's true.
campuses, but not that one. So I walk into the classroom, and we have 3 different levels that we're doing for training.
Mm-hmm.
And giving out like badges and certificates and things when you reach certain levels of artificial intelligence training in your classroom. One of them is level 1, and that's
Mm-hmm.
where she's at right now. So I go in, I show her artificial intelligence, specifically ChatGPT. We get her an account set up, and then I just say, "Hey, ask what are you doing right now? What are you working on right now? What is the lesson you're doing?"
Yeah.
Oh,
Pull it
okay.
into the right
And I
now.
just
Yes.
pull it into the right now. I type something in. Well, I go back and I check on them, and I kind of give them ideas, lesson ideas. About once a week, I go in and spend about half an hour.
Because your goal is to
Get her to level 2. And level 2 is where she's doing more details. She's utilizing it more for correspondence with parents,
kind of fine tuning.
Fine tuning it, figuring out exactly what it can
That's
do.
when you kind of introduce that framework. That
let me tell you why I think she's about to be a level 2 teacher.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you in just a second. The third level is like
experts.
They're experts in it. They know what it is, what it does. They know there's multiple AIs out there. They use multiple AIs. They use tools.
They use our framework that we tell them, which is research-based framework on how to build prompts.
Right. So
came out of Purdue University or something, I think.
Right.
Yes.
So that's level 1, level 2, level 3. Level 1 for this person was like a eureka moment when one of the things that she said is in my conversation with her that very first day is that they're working on comprehension. And she was trying to find some leveled readers to pull in for her kids because it's the very beginning of the school year. So she has varying reading levels right now. Some that are already on a 3rd grade level, some that are still on a 2nd grade level.
If you're 3rd grade, your goal is to get everybody to 3rd grade.
Right.
But they don't. Some are 4th, some are 3rd, some are 2nd.
Right. You have your readiness standard that you're trying to get them all at a certain level so they can pass the state assessment.
That's what leveling is.
Okay. So she could not remember the names of the leveled readers that she was looking for. She's like, I know there's one out there. I really wanted to teach it. I cannot remember its name. So I pulled up ChatGPT on the screen and I typed in, can I have a list of the 10 most common level 3 readers for comprehension? And it gave her a list of 20 books. And immediately she was like, oh my God, that was the one. That's the one I was trying to remember the name of it. Okay, little eureka moment right there.
It was.
Well, then I looked at her and I said,
now the word we're going to use next is hyper customization, because we teach that in our trainings, hyper customization. And that's when you're getting her to level 2.
To level 2.
Because
so here comes level 2.
Yes.
So I looked at her and I was like, okay, but this is a level 3 reader. What about your kids that are on level 2? And she said, well, I have to get a different book. And I said, well, why don't you just have ChatGPT write you a leveled reader?
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, what? I was like, tell me what you want the story to be about.
Gave her an example.
So we typed in and said, please write a 5-paragraph story about a little girl and her pet dog. And it generated a story. And then she was like, oh my goodness. And I said, okay, is this a level 3? And so she read through it, changed one word. And she was like, yeah, this would be something my 3rd graders could read. I said, okay, so how about this? I said, please give me the same story using 2nd grade vocabulary.
That's the hyper customization part. That's what we're trying to get people to understand.
She was so excited. And so the next day I went in to check on her and she had printed out those stories. She had a level 2 and a level 3, same general story, same idea of comprehension because it was the same story.
That's what I think is cool about it, because one of the things that when you think about, because we've gone through this as I've been at the district for a long time, about not embarrassing the kids because of a lack of an ability. In my case, we're talking about uniquely identifying kids that were on free reduced lunches. You didn't want to embarrass them when they went through the line.
Right.
But it's the same kind of thing. If you hand out 2 different books,
The covers
I
are
mean,
different.
it's
Titles
obvious
are
that they're
different.
getting different books, and the kids are going to know this kid's getting more of a second grade verse. And I'm not, kids read different books. I get
Right,
that. So
right.
there's this idea that they all have a different book anyway. But still, when they know they're focused
When it's
on their
lesson
reading
specific.
and it's lesson specific, and this kid gets one, then they know there's a difference, and the kids are going to start looking
The
for that
girl
difference.
had the same name. The pet had the same
Exactly.
name. It was in the same setting. That kind of
Hyper
thing. So,
customization.
okay,
We teach that in our stuff.
the next one that I just have to share. I asked her about her spelling list.
Are you giving away all our secrets?
Yes, I'm giving away all our secrets. I asked her about her spelling list. I was like, don't you have a spelling list every single week? And she was like, yeah. I said, wouldn't it be cool to put those words in stories? So now they're leveled readers.
Okay, don't give away all the secrets.
I'm sorry.
You're giving away all our
thought it was
secrets.
great.
We
All
teach
right.
people these things.
All right. Anyone listening, you have to hire us to come into your school.
That's right.
So that we can tell your school all of our secrets. So if you're listening, go tell your superintendent or your technology director
right.
to get in touch with AI Ed Pro and let us come get your teachers excited about what AI can do in their classrooms.
We do love the eureka moments. We've had one in every single training we've done so far, whether it's Llano ISD or another district. We always have that one teacher and we kind of start looking, we kind of live for those. We look for those. And to do your one-on-one professional development, which is another thing we offer, but for you to do that, because you know these people, which makes it even nicer for you, because you're the assistant principal on the campus, so you know these people, and for you to go in there and them to be excited and sending you emails about it when a week ago they didn't even know it existed or weren't paying any attention to it, and now and what have they done? Not only did they do it, but what have they done?
They've told, I have an appointment next week to go adopt another classroom.
Exactly.
And, I'm only going to adopt a certain number of classrooms because I don't have time. But that's when we can start doing the grade level professional developments.
Yes.
And really get in and show teachers what it can do.
Well, the adopt a classroom, you remember we got that from when you first came to technology many, many years ago when I first started the school and you were working in technology, and we were trying to introduce some new types of technology, and we had people that just literally didn't want to touch it. They didn't care. They didn't want to touch it. They were happy. We still had chalkboards in the rooms. And you came up with this program where you created an adoption paperwork. Mm-hmm. We made a big deal out of it. They signed up for it. They got, prizes. We did evening trainings. We did all kinds of things. And we had the toughest time getting people to actually look at it. And we were just putting in like a projector or an interactive smart board or whatever. And we thought people are going to love this because it saved them so much time.
They resist.
But everyone does. It's human nature. It's human nature to resist change. We get it.
But let's remember, who is it that's going to take the job? Not AI. It's the person who is using AI.
Right.
So you need to remember that. All right. We are out of time for today's podcast. Thank you all very much for listening. We hope that you join us next time on AI in Action. And that brings us to the end of AI in Action, exploring tomorrow's tech today. We're Maurie and Jim, your guides on this exciting journey through the world of artificial intelligence. We hope today's conversation has left you with fresh insights and a deeper understanding of how AI is shaping our future. If you enjoyed our discussion and want to stay up to date with the latest in AI, make sure to subscribe and share the podcast with your friends and colleagues. Remember, the future is not something that just happens to us. It's something we can actively shape and influence with knowledge and action. So let's continue exploring, innovating, and taking action. Thank you for joining us today. We look forward to sharing more exciting AI developments with you next time on AI in Action, exploring tomorrow's tech today.